Hello, everyone. Andrew from the Indie Interview here, bringing you another interview from an inspiring indie, or in this case today, an indie-related topic. Today, I'm talking to Olivia Danielle from Bristol Soft Tissue Therapist, Clinical Sports and Remedial Massage. And we're going to be talking about something that, as an indie, you've probably come across. Muscular aches and pains can really plague the quality of life as you get into a certain age. And after 20 or 30 more years of work and maybe desk work, your body can become very prone to mobility and muscle problems due to poor posture at work. So I knew the person to talk to was Olivia. So hello, Olivia. Can you help us out?
Hi,
What should we be doing, us indies?
Moving. That's the main thing. Yeah, moving. Yeah, so as you sort of said there, a lot of issues, aches and pains can result because of being at a desk for many years. A lot of the people I treat in clinic, actually, it's a range of ages, but one thing that is really high on the list is people who are suffering with neck, back, shoulder pain from spending all day at a desk. And you know, you think sort of 6 to 8 hours a day, then you multiply that by 5 times a week, every months turns into years, and that sort of accumulation is then what causes the issues that I see a lot of people with.
So what should we be doing about it? I mean, it sounds like we should be, as you say, we should be more mobile. So I suppose day to day, and you know, longer term, as you know, we are becoming older. How do we stave off the worst impacts of poor, you know, kind of muscle aches and pains?
Yeah. So I mean, particularly if you've spent a lot of years sat at a desk, the key is really variety of movement. So what tends to happen, and this is regardless of age, it's if you spend too long in one particular position, be it stood up, be it you know, leaning over someone if you're a hairdresser, or if you're a builder, you're doing a lot of like reaching, any kind of repetitive movement tends to result in some sort of overuse or potentially chronic pain issue. So what I always advise people is you want to vary your movement as much as possible, so then it kind of encourages different muscles to work, because often desk work in particular, now if you spent years kind of hunched over a desk and screen and things, you get a bit of an imbalance in muscle strength. So certain muscles, for example, in the chest get really tight because you're hunched forwards, pulls the muscles in the back, so you get that kind of achiness, and then eventually you start to become a bit stooped, the neck starts to crane forward. So really you're wanting to try and reverse that. Obviously if you've been doing certain things for years, then it takes a little bit more effort to kind of reverse those effects, but it's never too late. And
is that where we come and talk to you and have a
yeah, no, definitely, like that's one of my philosophies, is that it's never too late to start with anything, and what you've got to have is the right kind of attitude and the willingness to make a change, or even just kind of recognizing like, okay, because the thing is I find is a lot of people become out of tune with their bodies, right? And you see that more and more as we get older. You know, I hear it so often, like, oh well, that's just how it is, you know, I've got a bad back but there's nothing I can do, you know. And I see that and I hear it all the time, and it's not true. You know, there's so much evidence and research that shows that people can improve no matter what their age. So I think a lot of it starts with a mindset shift.
So it's up here to fix here.
Yeah, because particularly with pain, and this is quite an interesting fact, is that a lot of chronic pain that we get is actually partly psychological, because you know, you get that stress of being in pain, and then that's just, you're on a vicious cycle then. kind of thinking, well, what can I do? There's nothing I can do. This is how it is. And you just sort of accept the pain.
Yeah.
So there's one thing that's people kind of accept it and think, well, there's nothing I can do. And the other end of the spectrum is people not really being aware of how they are. But they might think, oh, okay, I struggle kind of putting on my shoes or picking up my grandkids, but there's no connection between what's happening and maybe what they can do. So part of my work is also like bringing awareness to people. So what I might do is I'll look at, okay, so what are your goals? Someone might come and see me and go, okay, I've got a bad back. But what we need to look at is, what is it that you can't do that you want to be able to do?
Okay.
Are you a keen gardener? You know, again, I see a lot of people on a Monday morning who've, you know, been digging all weekend in the garden, and they go, really, my shoulder, my back really hurts, you know. So it's looking at, okay, the overall picture. What is it you want to do? You want to be able to pick up your grandkids, you want to be able to play with them, you want to be able to go out in the garden, you want to go on long walks, you want to go on holiday, you know, you want to be mobile and healthy. So I'll look at those goals with people and then work from there. So then I'll assess kind of how they're moving at the moment. Where are the restrictions coming in? What are they finding difficult? What do they find easy? What would they like to be doing? And then I kind of work backwards from there. And so part of my sort of treatment will be, I'll do some manual therapy. So I'll do some massage to help loosen up the muscles, work on the tight areas, increase their mobility. And then I'll also look at giving specific stretches, maybe some strengthening exercises as well. Because with age, from sort of 30 onwards, the stats sort of show that we lose about 3 to 5% of muscle per decade. So that's not a given, because you can prevent that, and you can do that through exercise. But if you're not particularly active for a long chunk of time, you know, we naturally start to lose muscle, which affects our strength, affects your mobility, and has an impact on our quality of life. So that's where exercise is really important and comes into it to help with that. So I'll look at giving people exercises as well, and ways that really we can empower ourselves. Because I get a lot of people who come to me and kind of feel a bit helpless and a bit like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't, you know, I used to be a sprinter and now I can barely run, you know, things like that. So really, I want to try and empower people to keep pushing themselves, and not kind of give up. Because as soon as you give up in your head, you're fighting a battle.
So it sounds like it's never too late. You know,
that's my belief.
Yeah. And there is always something you can do about it, but it might be a bit of work to get there.
Definitely. So there's got to be a willingness, like I said, from you to want to be doing something to help yourself. There has to be an element of discipline. Because nothing comes instantly. You know, you're not going to have one session and magically everything will be solved. It's a combination of my advice, my help, but also how much you're going to put into it to help yourself as well. And then the results are quicker.
And I kind of get it, you know, as you're saying, you've got to get clear in your head why you want to do it, to get the motivation to do it, the discipline to do it, and to meet your objectives.
That's it.
Is there any advice you might give to just generally about maintaining mobility, you know, in later years? It sounds like you're going to say keep using it, but what are your thoughts there?
So I mean, I think sometimes people can get a bit scared by, oh God, I've got to exercise and I haven't exercised in years, and you know, think, oh, I don't like going to the gym or things like that. It doesn't have to be formal exercise like that. Like I said, just getting out and going for a good walk, you know, but maybe including a few little hills in there, so you're challenging yourself a little bit more. Even doing gardening, it's great because you're reaching for things, you're digging, you're lifting, you know, so you're working the muscular strength without actually realizing. And that's another thing actually that I really believe in, and I think helps, is finding something that you enjoy doing. So for me, I'm really grateful that I've always been quite active. I've always had an interest in kind of physical movement and things, and got a background in gymnastics and dance.
Mm-hmm.
So when I am doing these things, my focus isn't necessarily on the exercise. It's learning a skill, it's enjoyment of music. So that's what kind of motivates me. It's not necessarily doing it to be fit. And I think that's something really important to kind of hold on to. So find something that you enjoy, first and foremost, because then you're going to stick to it. You know, if you're not into going to the gym, you might do it. You might go, okay, right, I'm going to go 3 times a week for the next month. You might do it, but then, you know, trickle off and stop. Then you lose motivation. You think, oh, well, I didn't stick to it. You know, you get into a bad mentality. So actually just find something you enjoy. There are loads of like local groups, you know, things being run at local community centres and village halls. Probably lots of things you can, you know, try out. So I think finding something you enjoy, and just incorporating a bit more movement everyday life, really. Because if you've got, for example, like stairs at home and you've been sat all day, you've not really done a lot, you've maybe, you know, feel like you need to move but you're not sure what to do. Well, even if that's just going up and down the stairs 10 times, that's already increasing your steps in the day. You're going up, you're using strength, you know, and you can do them maybe a bit quicker. Obviously you want to be careful holding on, make sure you're not got you know, balance issues and things, but you know, just little things like that. Or just stick on some music in the kitchen and have a little dance. For me, music and dance is something that really motivates me to move, and it's also a mood booster. So
it sounds like to me you're saying use it or lose it. And have fun and something you enjoy, because you know I always think exercise, oh my goodness, I'm going to hate that, you know. I go to the gym, but that's not what you're saying. You're just saying find ways to move and stay mobile. Definitely.
And my other philosophy that I like to say, and I even say it to myself sometimes if I'm having a bit of an off day or not feeling very motivated, I say to myself literally, Olivia, you won't regret having gone, or you won't regret having done that workout or that exercise. So sometimes it's not the actual process that you're enjoying, but it's the feeling afterwards. There's that feeling of like, oh, I did it, even though it was hard, or, you know, it felt a bit tough. I did it. So you feel good for having done it. You feel you've got the natural endorphin rush, which everyone needs. Like I said, is that sort of mood booster. And you feel proud that you've done it. So that's naturally going to give you that incentive to keep going. So sometimes, it's not the doing it, but it's that feeling afterwards that you have to hold on to. And again, that overall picture, why am I doing this? How is it going to help me?
It's so interesting, because I thought when I was going to have a discussion with you, you're going to say, well, you pull this muscle and this goes across there. And, you know, it's so logical that, you know, yes, we want to keep our mobility, but it is about what we do as well as what you can do, working your magic, you know, manipulating muscles. When we started out, we did start out talking about sitting at a desk or sitting at your work or standing at your work. Maybe it's a little bit more about, you know, how you were talking about varying your movements. So what would you suggest for someone who was desk bound?
So if you're desk bound, I mean, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you've got a good desk setup. You know, things like having a screen at the right height, the table at the right height, a comfortable chair. I did a post recently about tips on how to set up your desk. So I can give some details about how to find that, but there are quite a few tips on there that might help people. But yeah, having a good desk setup is really important, but also things like making sure you take regular breaks. So getting up from your desk at least once an hour, you know, getting up for 5 minutes, walking away from your desk, go and walk up and down the stairs, go and pace around the garden, come back in. It just allows the body to kind of reset.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also check in with yourself, because if you're at a desk for 3-4 hours really engrossed in your work, it's very easy to switch off from your body.
Yeah.
So having that break actually gives you a chance to go, okay, how am I feeling? How are my shoulders feeling? Am I sat comfortably? Can I adjust anything? The second thing I would say is varying between maybe standing and sitting.
Yeah.
So if you've got like a kitchen worktop, or you can stack some boxes up on a table and put your laptop on it so you can stand for a bit, that's really good, because that helps engage your core, your back, your legs a little bit more, rather than just kind of passively being sat and slouching. So those are a couple of ways you can just vary your positions a little bit.
So variation is the key there. Keep moving and keep mobile. Let's say your top tip Thursdays. I'm right.
Yeah.
So I found a brilliant on Facebook for just tips around working. I've learned an awful lot.
That's
and just
brilliant.
talking about resources for people. If people wanted to perhaps become a bit more mobile, what would you suggest to them? What's a good step for them to improve their mobility? Who should they go and see? How can they get information?
Okay, so a couple of things. So as you just mentioned, every Thursday I release a top tip, so Top Tip Thursday. So for the last few weeks, with everyone being in the lockdown and kind of stuck at home, working from home a lot, I've done quite a lot of desk related tips. So things like I included some mobility sessions and stretches at your desk, setting up your desk properly. Yesterday I did a tip on running. So if anyone's looking to go back into running, gave a few tips. So you can find on my Facebook page, which is Bristol Soft Tissue Therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I've also got Instagram, again, if you search Bristol Soft Tissue Therapy, or my website, www.bristolsofttissutherapy.com. And you can contact me through any of these platforms. So you can see my top tips on there, but you can also get in touch as I offer free 20-minute assessments. So if people have a specific issue or question, they can get in touch and we can arrange a chat so I can kind of see how best I can help them.
So you'd be prepared to have a chat with people?
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Yeah, more than happy.
Right. One last question now, and I always ask this one. If someone were to come into this podcast interview right at the end here, and we want them to go all the way back to the beginning to listen to the whole thing through,
yeah,
what's the one piece of advice you would give about keeping mobile that would make them think, yes, I want to listen to this whole thing?
Okay, that's a very good question. So I would say a couple of things. The first thing is, if the best way of keeping sort of fit and healthy is to find something that you enjoy doing.
Right.
Okay, so find something you enjoy, so it's not a chore. Think about what your ultimate goals are. What is it that you can't do right now that you'd like to do? Is it playing with your grandkids? Is it going out for regular walks? Is it doing something in the house or garden? Look at your overall goals. What's stopping you? Have you got shoulder pain? Have you got back pain? Is there something that's, limiting you in any way? And then finally, I would say, ask for help. There is, you're not stuck. That's not the way you have to live. There are people out there who can help you. So like I said, with what I do, I offer manual therapy treatment to help loosen up the body. We'll look at giving you stretches and exercises to help increase your mobility and your strength, and essentially get you to where you want to be and living a healthy life.
So it sounds like you're saying you don't have to live with it. Do something about fixing it.
Thanks for joining us on the Indie Interview. For more information, tools, or to book one of our team to work with you or your business, or if you'd like us to speak at your event or conference, visit imnotdoneyet.co.uk. If you have any questions or comments, please email us at andrew@imnotdoneyet.co.uk. Please do follow or like us on Facebook or Instagram.